Welcome back, everyone, in War Eagle. My name is Eddie Orantes, and I'm the Director of Business Operations for the Office of Alumni Affairs at Auburn University. And for the next 30 minutes, your host of 18 minutes and 56 seconds, the Auburn Alumni Association's speaker series. You can see all of our shows at aub.ie/1856 series. We want to keep this fast moving, so all our guests will talk or present or do whatever they do for no more than 18 minutes and 56 seconds. We also want to hear from you. So ask questions, interact by leaving comments on our Facebook page. We'll do our best to answer them in the half hour that we have together. Today, you're in for a treat. Our guest is Chloe Melas, entertainment reporter at CNN and an Auburn alumna. She is 33 years young and a mom of two. Along with her husband, lives in Westchester County, New York, 12 miles outside of Manhattan. She graduated from Auburn University in 2008 with a degree in radio, television, and film from the College of Liberal Arts. Welcome to the show, Chloe.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm so happy.
I'm glad you joined us.
War Eagle.
War Eagle. You know what makes this interview so exciting, in addition to learning about your accomplishments as an entertainment reporter, is that we get to know you as a person, an Auburn alumna, and we're so proud of your accomplishments. So let's do this. Can we start with the Auburn story? Tell us about how you wound up at Auburn, your experience, what you were involved in, and your favorite aspect of being a student while at Auburn.
Well, look, I miss Auburn. I have dreams about going back and, laying in the fields with my girlfriends in between classes and just kind of simpler times, because boy, does life get crazy and complicated once you rush into adulthood. So if you currently are in school, just enjoy it because life gets crazy. I grew up in Atlanta, and then we moved to Dallas, Texas when I was 10 years old. And so, I did not grow up on SEC football. My mom was from Atlanta, but she went to Mercer in Macon, Georgia. My dad is from Athens, Greece. So again, I didn't grow up in a really big football household. I had never heard of Auburn University. And, I really never put much thought into where I was going to go to college until it was time to apply. And I went to a prep school, and there was just a lot of pressure to get into a Ivy League school. And, I knew I wanted to do journalism. I was on my high school's newspaper. I knew that was the career that I wanted to try to pursue because I'm really bad at math and science. So I was like, what degree and profession will make sure I never, ever have to add or do anything with numbers? And that was journalism. And I love to talk to people. And so I got into the University of Missouri. I was going to go to Mizzou. My mom was the one in the summer who said, you really should apply to Auburn. You're not going to want to be far from home, because my family was moving back to Atlanta right after I graduated. And I was like, no, I'm fine. I'm not going to care about being far away. Well, I got cold feet around end of June, and my mom secretly applied to Auburn for me online. She took my essays I'd written for other schools, submitted them, my transcript, everything. She's like, you got into Auburn. And I was like, what? So I visited, I fell in love with it. And that was that. And then the stuff I was involved with, it was really my dad that got me to rush to get into Greek life. My dad met all the other moms at orientation. And when he was dropping me off, he signed me up for Rush. So both my parents signed me up. My mom's responsible for Auburn. My dad is responsible for Greek life. My mom wasn't in a sorority and he wasn't in a fraternity. And both of which I'm forever grateful for. So yeah, and then I got involved with Eagle Eye. I was in Zeta Tau Alpha for 4 years. I did something called Modeling Board for a few years. And I loved it. It really is the loveliest village on the plains. And you see all my Auburn swag. So I brought it here with me to New York. So
that's great. That's a little piece of home at home. So tell me about those that influenced you most, because I know that there was a lot of mentors, and we've talked and you've shared how influential they were. Can you share a little bit about that experience while you were going through your Auburn story?
Being a part of the student-run television station Eagle Eye was invaluable. I mean, you literally just went in, you signed up, and you grabbed a camera and a tripod, You had it checked out for the weekend. You went to a meeting, you pitched some story ideas, and then it was like, go do it. So, I mean, I remember I covered a crime story. I interviewed the chief of police in Auburn. I remember doing a story about all the best barbecue places was one of I think my first story. And I went because I wanted to try all the barbecue for free. So I went to all the different restaurants and filmed them. And, there was a guy named Billy Ferris there who was a part of Eagle Eye. He's now an advisor, but he was a student. He was really encouraging and just really great. And then Rick Smith is still there, and he was my advisor. He taught some of my classes, and he was just always just so comforting and encouraging. I was not a straight A student. I had a lot of interests, and I loved going to parties and going to football games. And it wasn't just about academics for me. And I had a really well-rounded experience at Auburn. But I think that when it came time for my internship, I was blissfully ignorant when I started applying to internships in New York. I had no idea how competitive it was going to be. And I was just encouraged from the beginning by people like Rick Smith, go for it, go to New York. And so when I went to Rick and told him that I had to get out of some classes to go to New York in a few days for my interview for an internship at Comedy Central, he was like, do they normally do in-person interviews? I was like, well, no, they don't. But I told them I'm going to be in New York next week. So I asked for an in-person meeting. And look, I think that going to Auburn, sometimes you feel like you have to, this is just me, right? I've always felt like I've had to, just in my life in general, had to prove myself, had to kind of, go the extra mile to kind of say, like, elbow my way into the seat at the table, whether it's preconceived notions of being from the South or maybe not going to, an Ivy League university or something like that. I'm very proud of where I come from, but kind of leaning in more has helped get me to where I needed to be. And of course, Rick helped me and spoke to teachers with me, and my mom was cool about it. And I flew to New York for 24 hours and landed my internship, and kind of the rest is history. But that was how I got to New York. So
that is awesome. So I'm not going to let you off the hook just yet. I want to know about that history. So what was that like? Let's talk a little bit about transitioning into the career from a alumna to a career-minded professional. Can you tell a little bit about that experience?
So going from graduating from Auburn to where I am now?
Yes, ma'am.
So after my internship, I loved New York. And, my mom's whole side of the family is from the South. So I think that everybody at first was kind of like, New York? Why don't you want to stay in Atlanta? Why would you want to go to New York where all the Yankees are? And I remember my grandma saying that to me. And, I was excited. And the big city, I had never experienced anything like it. It was so energetic, and the people were so nice. There are so many preconceived notions about New Yorkers, and they're really not true. And New York is such a melting pot. There are so many Southerners up here. My husband's bar, his former restaurant, the Ainsworth, was actually the National Alabama Bar. How ironic, right? I know. Wow. I would like take my shakers and wear orange and blue to watch the games there. But there are so many Southern transplants in New York. And so after my internship, I was applying everywhere and I could not get a job. And it was during the greatest economic recession since the Great Depression. It was the housing crisis, the banks had collapsed, the bank bailout, it was terrible. And so I was about to come home to Atlanta. That was it. I wasn't going to get to pursue living in New York. It was too expensive. I needed to come home and move in with my parents. And I just went out on a leap of faith. My mom, again, she said, here's the neighborhood phone book. Call Gary Tuckman. He was a correspondent at CNN. I'm like, why would I call this guy? He doesn't know who I am. She's like, just call him and get some advice. And I think maybe she just didn't want me living at home. So looking back. And so I called this guy, Gary Tuckman, up. And again, it's kind of like that blissful ignorance, thinking that everybody kind of like wants to help you. And you know what? Most people do want to help you. People reach out to me all the time and I pay it forward now. Anyway, Gary Tuckman helped me get an interview at CNN. Next thing you know, I was offered a job as a news assistant during a time where most of my fellow graduates weren't able to get jobs. I think it's like I was just under the right star that day, and I happened to get a job as a news assistant. And I was there for a little under a year, and I decided I wanted to pursue entertainment. So then that's when I met a woman named Bonnie Fuller, and she had been the editor of Glamour, Mary Claire, Cosmo, and helped start Us magazine. And so I went to go work at HollywoodLife.com, and I was there for 7 years. And while I was there, I landed a show on VH1 for 2 years in the mornings called The Gossip Table. And it was kind of like The View, but for celebrity gossip. And then after doing that, all of that for 7 years, I really wanted to go back to CNN. I felt like I had unfinished business. I was having like dreams about going back, and they were looking to start kind of make their entertainment unit bigger. So they asked me to come be their New York entertainment reporter, and I took it. So I've been there almost 4 years.
That's amazing. What a wonderful career. And I know that you've interviewed so many different people. So I would like to share a clip that you sent us. If you can kind of tell us a little bit about what this clip is, and then we'll show it in just a few minutes.
Sure. So, while I have been at home, it's so great to have technology to afford me the opportunity to continue to do part of my job, since I'm working from home right here in this setup. And I've been able to interview so many celebrities, from Ty Burrell, Avril Lavigne, Leanne Rimes, Suzanne Summers, Jim Gaffigan, Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I spoke to Tim McGraw yesterday, which is like total bucket list, so cool. And I'm talking to celebrities about how they're using their platform to give back. And that has been a really powerful moment for me, because it's kind of like, well, what role does entertainment journalism play during this time? And so I've kind of found a way to keep my beat relevant. So here's some of that.
So the food and beverage employees, their number in about 15,000 unemployed right now. And so along with the mayor's office, Mayor Mendenhall, and a group called the Downtown Alliance, we started an initiative called Tip Your Server. And what we're trying to do is get the food and beverage employees there from here to state and federal funds, which are notoriously slow. So it's not a fix, but we hope it's a stopgap.
I realize that they may not all be hearing. Unfortunately, I didn't do the audio well, so I do apologize for that.
No worries.
But let me try it one more time so that we can get the audio on it briefly.
Don't worry, because I was just on TV the other day, and I was saying how great technology is, and I was saying how wonderful it is, and I literally said that, and then all of a sudden my feed cut out, and the anchors at my TV went black, or the TV went black showing me, and the anchors were like, perfect.
And here we go.
An initiative called Tip Your Server. And what we're trying to do is get the food and beverage employees there from here to state and federal funds, which are notoriously slow. So it's not a fix, but we hope it's a stopgap.
What said about it? Hi, Chloe. Appreciate it. So I'm hearing that she also got emotional when you asked her, what are the meanings to the lyrics here?
Such a beautiful song. I'm so glad that you got a chance to play it. She posted it on social because she said, honestly, Robin, this is the song that people need right now. Take a listen.
I've been putting some music out there on social media. I just released a song called There Will Be a Better Day. The lyrics of that song, the part of it is, take our sorrows, take our tears. Heaven's not so far from here. Though we struggle, still we pray there will be a better day. And I think, I cry just saying it, because that's what we're all hoping for at this moment in time. And we know it's around the corner. We just don't know when.
Yeah, good morning, Susan. So good to see you. So yes, I got a chance to talk to Avril Lavigne the other day about why she felt inspired to go into her home studio in Los Angeles and re-record a song that she had written a few years earlier and dedicate it to coronavirus relief efforts.
Everyone's being referred to as like warriors right now. So I took my song Warrior and I re-recorded it in my home studio and changed it to We Are Warriors.
'Cause we are warriors, we'll fight for our lives like soldiers.
When I was singing it, I was thinking about and picturing like everyone who's in the hospitals, like putting their lives at risk to save other lives and like how intense this whole thing is. So my heart is with them. And I just want to say a huge thank you to everybody out there.
Oh, I love that. Thank you for playing that.
Thank you for sharing it with us. And I think what happens is you bring in people that have an innovative, creative way of sharing their life and expressing some of the most important things, especially now. It's an inspiration. And you get to see that all the time. So I'm glad that you got to allow us to see some of that. So what does that do for you as a person when you hear celebrities like this just be themselves and be human?
Well, as cheesy as it might sound, I just got some goosebumps, or this room is really cold, but I'll say it's goosebumps. I really, 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 really love what I do. And the irony is that I was a profile features editor in high school, and I get to profile people. It's just, obviously there can be good interviews and bad interviews, but generally everybody is really nice and they're there to talk about something that they're doing, especially right now, giving back and trying to provide people entertainment or using their platform to raise money or for proceeds to go to a particular charity. I think that I enjoy hearing about people's stories. So it's fun to have the roles reversed right now with you interviewing me. And I've always just loved telling stories and getting people the truth and giving people inside access. And I think that that's one of the main reasons I wanted to come back to CNN, was to take my content and just elevate it a little bit more and have it be a little bit more in-depth and personal. And it's great that my stuff gets to air on Headline News, which is CNN's sister channel, and CNN International. And it's just fun to be able to do that while also I'm writing articles for CNN all day. So you can read all my stuff almost every day on CNN.com. So it's nice to have that multimedia access, which again, when I was at Auburn, they told us, make sure you understand the internet and know how to use publishing tools and all of that. And it was so right. I really felt prepared when I got out of school, because I really had the tools that I needed to do my job now. I mean, I really learned so much of it too from Eagle Eye and Rick Smith's class.
That's wonderful. Let me see here. We got something from Facebook that says, Keytrick Rick Jackson says she was a co-anchor with you at Eagle Eye. So it's wonderful to see some of these comments come through on Facebook. We've got about 4 minutes left. So I'm going to ask you one question, actually a combination of two. Then we'll go into questions that come through from Facebook Live. Two things: favorite interviews, as well as, I'm sorry to cut you off there, as well as anything else that you have done within your field of impact.
So Oprah was one of the coolest experiences. I met her on a red carpet, and then I've met her a few times since then. I was pregnant with my first son, Leo, and she blessed my baby bump. And I have a picture in my son's room of Oprah with her hand on my belly. I have interviewed Steven Spielberg, Hugh Jackman. Sarah Jessica Parker was great because I cried after and told her and Nicole Kidman separately all about how I was struggling to get pregnant. And they gave me a lot of advice about IVF and my fertility journey. And Molly Ringwald, Suzanne Summers, all the people I've been speaking to recently, like I said, generally I have such a great experience. So I have used my platform in the past year to open up about our struggles in starting a family with my husband. We have two beautiful, healthy little boys, Leo and Luke. Leo's going to be 3 this summer. Luke is going to be 1. They're 2 days apart, which is crazy. And yes, we're going to do 2 birthday parties, which is crazy. But I wanted to kind of talk and say, like, look, like, life is not easy. Like, my son right now, my littlest one, he has a temperature. I mean, and I'm here doing this. It takes a village to raise a family. It's so hard to work full time, especially right now. And I wanted to also talk about my fertility journey, and that we did IVF for both children, how hard that was and emotionally draining. And People Magazine covered it. I went on CNN and talked about it. And I've had a wonderful response. And since then, I've gotten involved with a bunch of great organizations like Resolve and a bunch of different things. And I've been a keynote, and it's kind of weird to have the roles reversed and someone talking to me, but my husband and I both think it's really important to talk about our struggles in starting a family, because so many people are going through it. And I post about it on my Instagram. You can Google about it and read our story. And also, if you have questions, message me privately, and I'll try to guide you if you're having struggles right now.
It's great. Thank you for being vulnerable. And I think what you're sharing also is your relevance. We all find a relevance in life, and it sounds like you've absolutely found yours. It's great to know, though, that came through your education at Auburn University. So let's go into some of these questions that have come up from Facebook Live, if you don't mind. We've got about, all right. So one of those is related to student advice. And let me set it up this way. Right now, what we're doing as a result of our seniors not being able to walk through and have a normal experience is going through a lot of virtual experiences. So this is our senior week where we celebrate our seniors, and we have a virtual yearbook, etc. But what advice do you have for seniors that are going through this time right now and setting them up for the future?
Well, number one, you will get a job. So I know that it seems so daunting and scary. This will be behind us one day. It could be a little bit. And, I've heard that universities might be allowing certain graduates from this time, to come back and walk at a later date when things calm down. And obviously that would be state by state and university by university. I think that's a great idea. Look, I know it's a bleak time, but I really think that, reaching out to people like me, other Auburn alums, so many people want to help. I reached out to so many strangers, and I also respond to numerous people on Facebook and Instagram constantly. And I jump on the phone or email or get coffee with people, or I will do a virtual Zoom to give advice. I think the key is just asking for help. No one's going to just hand you a job. You have to pursue it and go for it. It took me 6 months to get my job, to land my job at CNN and convince them I was the right person. And this is after I'd already worked at CNN, already had a TV show, already been out in the workforce for 7 years. So nothing ever in my life has come easy, and just know not to give up. And I hope you all have a safe place to live and that you're healthy. But this will be behind you, and you will get a job. You just need to reach out to as many people as possible, even if you don't know them.
Well, thank you, Shelby Rusher, who asked that question. I'm so glad that individuals are looking at this and seeing an opportunity to ask those questions to you. Tell us about home. What is your home life, and how are you getting through this time right now?
Well, it's definitely really difficult. And my husband and I have to be very open about our schedules, because I'm on TV almost every day. He has a fitness retreat business, so he's on calls and working out and filming stuff for his social media pages. And we have 2 little boys who need our attention. So it's not easy, but it's all about just keeping a schedule. So that is really what it comes down to. And I am not a morning person, so luckily I just drink a lot of coffee.
Fair enough. We all need some of that coffee. So let's transition a little bit about into the funniest interviews that you've had.
Oh my gosh. Funniest interviews that I've had. Well, I got to say, so I have really hit it off with Suzanne Summers. So I don't know if y'all remember Three's Company, but I used to watch that. I can't sing, but I can hear the song in my head. She is such a joy, and she is so funny. I really just think that she's such a bright light in the world, and I've just had so much fun interviewing her recently. And also, just one more person that I really enjoyed interviewing, who was just such a cool human, was Viola Davis. I interviewed her last year while I was pregnant with Luke, and that was just so awesome. She just radiates love.
Well, thank you so much. We've come to the end, nearing the end of the segment. Chloe, I can't thank you enough for sharing your life, sharing your experiences. The Auburn Alumni Association is part of the alumni and their accomplishments, and you're one of those individuals. So I hope you do come back if that opportunity comes back to have you in our show. Join us next week, May 14th at 11:30, when we get to spend 18 minutes and 56 seconds getting to know Paul Schizler. Paul will do a short stand-up set from his living room, followed by a Q&A session on what life is like as a comedian in New York City and LA. Chloe, once again, thank you. Stay safe, and War Eagle.
War Eagle, everyone. Feel free to reach out to me. I'll answer any other questions. Thanks, guys.